Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Around the Octagon. Today, we are joined by a special guest, a professional mixed martial artist, one of which I had the pleasure of covering this past weekend, coming off a big TKO win in his PFL debut, Tom the Phenom Pags. Tom, thank you very much for joining us tonight. How's everything been since your big win Friday night?
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. Things have been good. Just I've been in the gym helping the other guys get ready for their fights, doing some coaching, trying to recover a little bit, a little dinged up from some good leg kicks by my opponent. But other than that, just been laying low.
So before we really get into it, I know during the post-fight press conference, you said you wanted to celebrate with a big Italian meal, and you would be weighing around 170 come around this time this week. Were you
Yeah,
successful in meeting both of those?
I had a nice Italian meal. Where did I go? The lady in the interview room threw out a plate, Carmine's. She threw out
Yeah,
that place, and we went right over there. Had a nice big dinner. And I'm not 170, but I'm pretty damn close. I'm up there.
that's awesome. So to start us off here, can you kind of give your general background on how you got into mixed martial arts and where you started?
Yeah. So I started with wrestling in the fourth grade. Um, I did that right until my sophomore year of college. Um, I was fighting all through college, my amateur career. Um, and I got introduced to MMA right after high school, like my senior year. I had a friend I knew through wrestling who was getting into fighting, and he needed some help with his wrestling in the gym. I showed up, got kneed in the face the first week, and the rest was history. I fell in love with it. Been doing it. That was 2016, so been training ever since. And yeah, I went pro in 2021. In the heat of the pandemic, it was a 4-day notice call to Cage Fury in Philadelphia, and yeah, I've been smooth sailing ever since.
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely say that, man. So going back a little bit to the amateur scene in your amateur career,
Mhm.
what was it like balancing out, being in college and your amateur career there?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I really didn't have time for much. I got to enjoy freshman year. I just wrestled and did school, but I started fighting my sophomore year, and it was just waking up at like 5:30, 6 a.m., going to lift, and then I go to class, and I would drive. The training I was doing was all the way in Manchester, New Hampshire, which was about an hour and some change from where I was in school. So I'd drive there and train, come back. I'd work. I'd bounce at a bar at the college, and that was my routine for from sophomore year to senior year. And by my senior year or junior year, actually, I started working with Rob Font doing private lessons. So he had moved to my hometown of Haverhill, Mass. So I was driving all the way back to Haverhill, which is about an hour 20, hour 30, getting work with him, driving back to school. I was all over the place, man. I was just on the road. We'd go down to Lozon's on the weekends. That's where we would spar at the time. That was like 2.5, 3 hours from my school. So yeah, a lot of driving, but I kind of liked it. It made me stay locked into like a crazy regimented routine. And I don't know, it was easy to improve and get good at fighting because it's all I had to do. So yeah, it was tough, but I think it paid dividends going into my pro career.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say that definitely takes a lot of discipline for college age people. You don't see too many college age kids with that type of discipline. So hats off to you there.
Thank you.
But moving on a little bit from transitioning from the amateur career, the amateur scene to the pro scene, what was the biggest differences you saw from that jump, and when and why did you decide to turn professional?
Yeah, so I say we went pro. I was 5-1 as an amateur, and my last amateur fight was November 2019. And the pandemic happened. Like I'd planned on fighting more amateur fights, but then the pandemic happened, and we just couldn't get booked on anything. All the cards were canceled. So I was pretty much just training with Calvin Cater and Rob Font and Tyson Chartier. We were training in like driveways and stuff, and just like doing what we could to get work. And Tyson has like a little gym in his garage. And then we had some places nearby that would open up to us like after hours at like 10 o'clock at night. So it was just like the four of us. And then Nick Fury joined us. And so we were just training with them, helping them they were still fighting. Calvin was in Fight Island and all that shit. So I was just helping him. And then like I said, I got that short notice call to make a pro debut in Philly because the kid's opponent fell through, and we were like, might as well, we're not getting any other fights. We don't know when we could fight again, so we took that and jumped all over it, and I had a good pro debut on UFC Fight Pass, and then I'd say the biggest jump was just obviously the rule change is a little different, elbows and knees to the head, a little longer rounds, but not all that different, man. I know amateur rules are different all around the country. I'm not sure where you guys are from, but most of my amateur fights were in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine. So there's no shin guards. The only difference is we can't elbow knee to the head in 3-minute rounds. You know what I mean? I know like Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, it was like there was tiers to the amateur levels. So like tier 1, you can't even like kick to the head and there's no ground and pound and stuff. And then it's like they go up the tiers of amateur rankings. They can start to do that stuff. But for us, it was always like everything goes other than knees and elbows to the head. So not all that different.
Gotcha.
So just to help, finish filling out your profile here, your nickname is the Phenom. What do you think about your fighting style or your approach to the cage? Do you think earns that name?
Yeah, I said I've been trying to live up to it. My college roommate gave me that my freshman year when I said I wanted to get into fighting. And yeah, I'd say I go for it. You know what I mean? I think I'm exciting. I get finishes. I think that's an important part of the sport. I got 9 finishes to my 10 wins. 8 of them are knockouts. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just put on good performances, and I stay really disciplined when I'm in there. I think that's a big part of it. I'm not getting too reckless. I say that, but then my last fight, I just got a little crazy in there. That first round, I got a little excited, but I'm pretty calculated in there. I think I get exciting finishes, and I think people enjoy watching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we definitely saw that this weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say being there firsthand and just kind of hearing the crowd and whatnot. I think people definitely enjoyed that fight. So
appreciate it.
Hats off again there. But before we kind of dive into this past weekend and whatnot, one thing I like to learn about certain fighters is just what motivates them inside the cage and whatnot. So, what would you say motivates you as a fighter?
Man, I think just my love for the game, my love for the sport, my love for competition. I say that's like my major why. When I think about why I do this, like I don't have to do this. I got a college degree. I could go work a normal job. I love competing. I love fighting. So I think that's my biggest motivation when I'm in there is just I want to see how good I can get at this, giving it my all. I think when you ask people like what's their goals in this sport, everyone says I want to be a world champion, right? Like sure, that's great, but for me it's like how good can I get and giving this my 100%. If that's a world champion, great. If it's top 10 in the world, great, top 5, whatever, but I just want to find out. You know what I mean? And I can be content knowing I've found out and I did this the right way. So that's my motivation, man. And then just give me, my wife, a better life. Not that we have a bad life, but we're striving for more and just give us a comfortable life through chasing a dream. You know what I mean? I think that's a pretty cool thing. Life can get pretty boring, and I think fighting keeps it exciting, and it's fun chasing this thing down. I just want to see how big it can get.
Yeah, 100% there, man. And I kind of want to talk about this past weekend now. What was that feeling like getting that finish in your PFL debut?
Oh man, it hasn't fully set in. I feel like it's just starting to. It's just everything you dream of as like a kid getting into the sport. Obviously like I got the UFC in mind too. Like that's a big goal of mine. But just fighting on ESPN and like as a lifelong athlete, I played like all the sports growing up and just always watching ESPN. It's like, man, it's cool to go on my phone after the fight and see like I'm a top headline on the ESPN app. Like that's me friggin' kneeing a guy. I don't know. It's just awesome, man. And just have my family out there too. Like they made the drive down to Atlantic City, and just for my parents, like I don't know. It's just cool my dad was my first wrestling coach, just to, like for him to be on this journey with me and see how far we've come. Cause I wasn't great at wrestling when I started and he watched me kind of just go out there and get tooled on a lot. And I was super unathletic and like not naturally talented at all. And I just worked really hard and stayed at it and just kept showing up. And now, I'd like to think I'm like on an elite level in this sport now, or at least getting there. So it was just a cool moment, man. Just kind of some validation of the work I've been putting in. And I felt like I was right where I belonged, and I wanted to show that with my performance, not just to win. I wanted to go out there and do something like that, do something people are going to remember and want to see more of. And to do it on a stage like that, man, it's just an awesome feeling. I'm just grateful more than anything.
Yeah, it was definitely memorable. I noticed on Instagram, I forget what page it was, but they posted some pictures from Friday night, and the pictures were of like Movlead, Thad Jean, and then you were in there, and there was like no other guys that fought earlier on the card. So I thought that was pretty cool to
Yeah.
see as well.
Yeah, man, it's definitely been cool. I've been getting tagged and all kinds of stuff, and it's cool just to see that, And then like Will Harris is making those videos, and like I got tagged in that. I'm like, man, I've been watching his stuff since I was a fan of the sport before I was even a competitor. It's like, man, now I'm in one of his videos, and like, he followed me on Instagram, tagged me and all this stuff. It's just cool, man. It's cool to see how far the journey's come and how far there still is to go. But definitely a big check in the journey, checkbox in the journey this weekend, and hitting some goals for sure.
Yeah, and talking about that journey, can you describe to us that feeling, that first feeling of stepping in that PFL cage for the first time, really making it to the big stages?
Yeah. I'd say in the moment, I try not to let it like get to me and make it bigger than it is. I was like, man, I'd never been so excited to compete. I've talked to some teammates who have fought in the PFL or the UFC or on like these ESPN shows, and they're like, the lights kind of got to me a little bit, like the big stage got to me. I didn't feel that in like we're all nervous, but not in like a scared way or like a questioning my performance. I was like so excited to like be competing at that level. It's just what I've always wanted. And it was even funny out back, man, the employees and stuff, my camera guys were laughing at me because I was just like smiling and like so excited. They're like, we haven't seen someone so excited to fight before, And I don't know, when I got in there, I was just like, I'm right where I belong. And like I said, I think I was a little too comfortable. Like I don't know, I just got right in this kid's face and tried to just create some fireworks a little too soon. But yeah, I think after is where it hit me. Like I was on top of that cage celebrating and like teared up a little bit, man. It's just like, damn, this is really happening right now. I just kicked off an ESPN card with like everyone wants to get like that highlight reel knockout, and yeah, it was just an awesome feeling. I've had the same coaches my whole career pretty much, like the second half of my amateur career to now. Like I've been with the same crew, and it just makes it that much better, to share that moment with them. I'd say the strangest part about getting in that cage was we were kicking off the card and they had to do all the commercials and shit before we started. So we were just kind of standing in there for like 5 minutes before the fight even started. I wasn't used to that. It was a lot of like TV, like dead time before the fight even started. So that was kind of weird. But other than that, it didn't seem too much different.
Yeah,
You know
I will
what's kind of
say,
weird? Sorry for cutting you off there, Son, but sorry, I thought it was funny you mentioned like the TV and the dead time because I've talked to a few people, one of which who covers the PFL from a photography standpoint, and he was saying it's weird because like sometimes you'll see a big knockout or a big submission, and then they just sit there for like 5 or so minutes in the cage before they like raise the hands, and it's like, damn,
Yeah, they got to get their commercials in, and I guess they did it. Going back and watching, it's like, oh, there was a bunch of. They didn't show the walkouts; they just did like commercials through that, and then they did their little intro, and then they started the fight. So we had to just stand there through all of that, just kind of pace around. But hey, whatever. It was more time to get comfy in the cage.
Yeah, well, it definitely worked out for you that last weekend. And, getting back to that, your PFL career, you started this weekend with a 1-fight deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
What are your goals now within the promotion, and are you planning on making a run in that tournament next year?
Good question. I am in a spot where there's a lot of doors that have been offered, and I just got to see what's out there. For me, I think the UFC really is my goal, and I know that's a very real thing that could be happening in the near future. But if it doesn't, I even sat with one of like the top guys at the PFL after the fight at the hotel, and we talked, and he was like, I want to see you there too if that's what you want. And he's like, shit, we'll help you get there. We'll talk to them and make it happen. He's like, but if it doesn't work out right away, he's like, we'd love to have you back here. So I had a great time fighting for the PFL, man. I thought everyone there was awesome, the staff. And I'd like to do more just like those showcase fights. I don't want to like commit to a whole tournament. I mean, money talks. You know what I mean? So if they threw some crazy numbers at me that are hard to say no to, but I mean, I think just getting more experience under the PFL would be not a bad idea either in these showcase fights, getting more comfy under those bright lights and some tougher competition. And but if the UFC comes knocking, that's been little kid Tom's dream, and I just got to go for that, man. And I know it's right there, and so that's where my head's at right now. So would I fight with PFL again? Yes, but the circumstances would just have to be right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that 500K definitely talks pretty loud at the end.
It definitely talks. It definitely talks. And it's like 3 fights, really. Obviously, it's a hard fucking 3 fights, but like, the tournament's an 8-man bracket, 3 fights, and I think the way they do it, it's like it accumulates to 500 grand. I don't think it's like you get paid and then you win and it's like here's a $500,000 check. I think the whole thing accumulates, which is a sick year, So it's 3 fights in the year and 500 grand for the year is a lot better than what I just made. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think me and you both there, man.
Yeah.
But it is awesome to hear about like the different doors and opportunities that are opened or soon to be open there. I was just kind of curious, like would the Dana White Contender Series be a thing if you were offered that you'd jump on?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about on here. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I know I can talk about this. So the week of my fight, I guess I found this out in the craziest way. So I'm sitting at weigh-ins, and this is like the official weigh-in. And this guy from the PFL comes up to me. He's like, Tom, right? He's like, awesome to meet you. He's like, we're super pumped to have you. He's like, heard you have a big opportunity after this, but we just got to see how Friday goes. I'm like, huh? He's like, oh, I heard Sean Shelby called. And I was like, what the fuck? So I'm texting my coach and manager, Tyson. He's like, he's on the other side of this wall, like waiting for me to go into like the fucking stage to weigh in. And I was like, dude, do I have a fight after this or something? And he was like, who told you that? I told him. So pretty much, Sean Shelby had called him and was like, hey, did Tom sign with the PFL? Like, what's going on? And he was like, no, just a one fight deal. And they're like, oh, we have a Contender Series spot opened up. I don't want to say who, because I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. But they were like, pretty much, we can't pull Tom from this fight, but like, let's see how Friday goes. And then we'll take it. We liked the fight. And they're pretty much like, look, we can't wait. We got to fill this spot now. And the fight went how it went, and then my leg's honestly pretty fucked up. So I know there was another offer after the fight, but it was like really short notice, and I'm just not in a position. Like, just got to be smart, you know what I mean? And not in a position to take the fight right now with my leg and stuff, and I can't really like train like I'd want to train for a fight. So I'm in a good spot though. I know like doors are opening, and they're gonna be open, and the circumstances just got to be right, and that's about as much as I get into it as I can without I feel like I'd get in trouble. But I'm just honestly the main thing right now, the next couple, maybe the rest of the year, dude, I got a ton of training trips planned. That's a big thing I want to do is I'm going out to Colorado in September. Be going to Onyx, training with those guys. Got some connections there. Bilal Muhammad is a good friend of mine, and I'm gonna be heading to Chicago to train with him and his gym. And I'd like to get out to we're talking to the MMA lab in Arizona. So I got some connections there. So I'm trying to spend the rest of the year like that's more beneficial to me right now, I think, than fighting, is going sharpening the skills of some of these other gyms and getting these higher level looks. And then we'll see what opens up for the new year. But the next month I gotta let my leg do its thing. I definitely did something not great to it, and just letting that heal up right now. But so exciting future for sure.
Yeah, 100%. You're still young, and the opportunities will still be there next year or whenever you want to get back in there. But kind of going back to this past weekend, what would you say was the biggest takeaway or lesson learned from your experience with the PFL?
Yeah, I'd say biggest thing is be comfortable like I was. I felt like I was pretty comfortable. I felt like my mindset was good all week. I think I'm right where I belong. I think I just got to clean some things up. I'm my biggest critic, man. I'm super hard on myself. My coach is like, give me shit for it. But I think that's part of what makes me all right at this thing. But I'd say just like slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? I got a whole 15 minutes in there. It doesn't always have to be going there and run through a guy in the first round. But I try and be exciting. I think I tried to be a little too exciting at the beginning of that fight. So I would just clean up some things. But other than that, man, my biggest takeaway is I belong.
Yeah, I'll attest to that one right there. But
thank you.
moving on a little bit, you're on a 4-fight win streak now, 3 of which this year all by round 1 finish. What kind of confidence has that brought to you?
Yeah, especially this last kid, and you can go into records and stuff. Like 2 of those dudes I fought don't have the greatest records in those past 4 fights. They're both late notice replacements, which sucks in this sport on the regional scene. One of them was actually a lot tougher than his record. Elijah Harris, he's like 2-0 in BKFC right now. He's got like the fastest knockout over there. And he's fought like all UFC talent, goes the distance with them. He just doesn't know how to say no to a fight. So he's got like a little under 500 record, but he's friggin' tough as nails. I got like a good flying knee knockout against him. And then Don Chanis, UFC vet. I knocked him out in the first round for my Cage Titans belt. And then Matt Turnbull, man, that kid was tough. You know what I mean? Like, he was 9-6 going in, but like never been TKO'd or KO'd. So like just a validation from that, you go into these fights and you're like, man, like what if I can't knock this kid out? Which obviously you go win the fight and you win a decision or you submit it, but it's like, it's cool to know my shot selection and like I have the ability to put these guys away, even that haven't been stopped like that, So I'd say that was my like proudest moment of the fight was like, okay, not only did I stop this kid by a way he's never been stopped, I did it in the first round and there was no questions about it, whether it was like a good or bad stoppage. Like he wasn't recovering from that. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And while on the topic of confidence, what kind of confidence does it give you training at New England Cartel with killers like Rob Font, which you were talking about?
Yeah, it's been huge, man. I've been doing it for so long that it's like my normal now. But yeah, definitely like I just know my bases are covered, meaning like I know we're so hard on ourselves. Like I know my cardio is there. I know my striking is going to be there. We have world-class grappling coaches and wrestling coaches. Like, yeah, man, it's just, I know going into a fight, what's going to happen is going to happen, but I can always rest my head on my pillow knowing I did everything the right way and I was as prepared as I could be because of my team.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about New England Cartel, obviously Rob Font's been pretty formative for you. Who else do you think are the names that are in your corner over there that are really pushing you? I mean, what's the dynamic like over there?
Yeah, Nick Fiore, he's like my main training partner. He's also my jiu-jitsu coach. He had a nice run in the UFC. He's 5-0 since he got released, and we're going to see him back in soon. He's got another fight next weekend, actually. Kid's is super talented, man. So he's my number one guy. I got Fred Allen, Sphere, the kid who's cutting weight with me right now. He's a 1-0 pro. He's one of the top amateurs in the country. He's a killer, man. The world's going to find out about him soon. That kid is never easy rounds. Man, we got just a ton of guys who pop into the room too. Not like Connor Matthews, obviously. Man, ton of guys. Mitch Raposo. Trying to remember Casey Norton's another guy who's been coming in. Just a lot of local talent that's been coming in and dropping by, and they're driving like 2 hours just to come to our room. And Joe Giannetti. Yeah, ton of guys, man. But I'd say my main training partner is Nick Fiore, and then obviously Calvin Cater too. So we got a solid room, man. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys got the Avengers assembled there, Nick Fury and all.
Yeah.
But just getting back a little bit to your career, you've had a obviously very successful professional career so far, but you've also gotten the opportunity to learn from 2 losses professionally. How do you think you grew after facing that adversity, which is something that you don't seem like you struggle too much with in the cage?
Yeah, learning how to lose is important in this sport, man. You can't get too low on it. You can't get too high off the wins. I always say like you got to treat them relatively the same. It's like Monday the sun's gonna come up and we're gonna get back to work, and win or lose, the goal is to go get better at fighting, right? So I'd say that first loss was tougher to deal with than the second. Is that first loss as a pro is kind of I don't know. You get fixated on like these perfect records, and because everyone puts that in your head, and it's like can feel like the world's ending when that happens. And but it exposed some holes in my game that I cleaned up, and I took that fight on 2 days' notice, literally like the day before weigh-ins. I took that fight against like one of the top prospects in the country. So I went to a split decision with them, and I did that with a broken foot in the first round. And like, yeah, I just showed like I can go through adversity. And then that second loss, like another real tough kid, Contender Series winner. I went into that fight like not ideal circumstances, but I did it, and I I owned my decision, and same thing, like faced a ton of adversity in that fight, overcame it, won some rounds after like a real hard first round. And I just got caught, man, had a lack of discipline or a lack of focus and got caught in a weird little submission. And, it's the only time I've been finished as a pro in those losses. And I've one other time as an amateur, I got submitted. But, yeah, man, just like tighten some things up and just really, I guess my mindset was the biggest thing, like where I need to be before a fight mentally. I really like played around with that. I started seeing a therapist just to work on like the mental game and just locked it all in, man. I look at the brain, that's part of your training too, your mentality and stuff. It's like I treat therapy like it's a part of my training routine. You know what I mean? And I think that's done a ton for me. And like it's almost like my thoughts are planned out going into these fights, and like I just know where I need to be. And I think I've shown that in my performances since that loss. Like I'm just so friggin' comfy in there now, like in the fight and just the whole process. And I'm just having fun, man.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, unlike boxing, MMA fans and fighters do take, losing that zero a lot better. I feel like it's not so much about, keeping that zero clean.
Boxing, you can pad your record to like 30-0 and like.
Yeah, there's a lot of cans fighting in professional. Not that I would be taking any of them down, but just in general, there's a lot more volume in there.
Oh yeah.
But getting into the last, serious question we have for you,
Mm-hmm.
in the far future, when dust is all settled, what do you think you want to be remembered by? What's the legacy that you want to leave behind as a professional mixed martial artist?
It's a good question, man. No, I think I just want to remember about like how you make people feel. I think that's the most important thing. Like it's bigger than all the belts and accolades, and like just inspire people to just be good people in this kind of sport. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like fighters get a rep for like, oh, this guy must just be like a burnout, like tough guy, like couldn't get a real job, so he's fighting and shit like that. Like just being a good person, especially with the sport we do, I think goes a long way, and just inspire people to be better people and just go for their dreams. And that's what I want to be remembered by, man. Just like how you make them feel. And I want people to be like, damn, not only was that kid real, like even in fight week, man, at PFL, like I try and be so nice to like all those employees, like who are busting ass for us, and everyone, like even you guys, the media people, like everyone's just chasing a dream, right? And it's got to go home to their family at the end of the night, and they're just trying to be successful at what they do. So I just want like people to remember, like, damn, not only could that kid fight and put on fun performances, but he was just a friggin' nice dude, and we all felt good around him, and he made people feel good about themselves, So that's what I want to be remembered for.
Yeah, respect. That's a hell of a reason.
Yeah, it's a great mindset and outlook on things right there. But yeah, we're kind of nearing the end of the interview here, and I like to ask a few fun questions at the end. And first one of which being, if you were in charge of designing the MMA Mount Rushmore, what 4 fighters are you putting on there?
Oof, goddamn. Max Holloway. How many people are on Mount Rushmore?
You got 4. You got 4.
What? My dad's gonna give me shit for that. Max Holloway, GSP, Habib. Fuck it, BJ Penn.
Damn.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh
Nice,
yeah, that's
nice
a unique one. There's a few in there we haven't heard. I will say, I think it was Connor Matthews. He gave us 5, so he also didn't know how many there were in the Mount Rushmore.
And he served the country, so fuck that guy.
Yeah, he gets a pass, I guess. He gets a pass.
Oh, that's awesome. And the last real question I have for you here: if you had the opportunity to fight anybody throughout history, fighter or non-fighter in the cage, who are you choosing?
Fighter or non-fighter? Oh man. Who's an asshole?
Colby Covington.
Colby Covington's a prick, but he also can fight. Fighter or non-fighter? I don't know, man. Hitler. I'd go beat the shit out of Hitler. I know Bryce Mitchell likes that guy, so I'd go beat the shit out of him, and I'd go fight Bryce Mitchell.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, that's the rest of the questions we had for you tonight, Tom. But the floor is yours if you have anything you want to tell the fans before you head out.
Yeah, sure, man. Just follow me on Instagram if you want to follow along on my journey. It's just at Tom Pags. Hopefully, some big things coming in the future. Shout out my team, New England Cartel, my wife, family, everyone who supports me, and shout out you guys for having me on and give me a platform to chop it up and get my name out there. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
brother.
you, man. I can't wait to see you out there competing again.
Yeah, we're excited for what
Thank
you
you
bring
guys.
in the
Appreciate
future.
it.
You got a lot coming, it looks like.